G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marky Industries, and we are back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Alrighty guys, starting off on Am I the A-hole, this one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to have Halloween with my family for years after they screwed me over this holiday years ago? As the title says, this happened on Halloween. I'm 25 male, and 5 years ago, my parents wanted to go to my sister's house for Halloween. At the time, I was still living with them, and I wanted to go to a party a friend was hosting, but my parents were adamant that I go with them instead because they wanted us all to be together. I still wanted to go to my friend's party, and my parents suggested a compromise in which I go to my sister's party first, then my friend's. I figured it couldn't hurt to do both, so I agreed since I liked helping my nephews with trick-or-treating, and that year I was wearing an inflatable ninja costume I was really eager to have fun in. Well, I was ready and waiting in the costume for hours, and by the time we finally took the kids out, most houses stopped giving candy and there was hardly anybody walking around, and we only went around the block, that's it. Then, when I wanted to go to my friend's house, my parents guilted me into staying because they needed me as a designated driver. I would have driven them home first and then gone to my friend's party, but my parents just kept drinking and refused to leave. So I lost out on going to the other party and cussed my parents out for making me miss it and not even being able to enjoy my Halloween. They just said that it was too late, and what could they do about it? They didn't even attempt to make it up to me. I refused to speak with them later, so they confronted me and I said I didn't even want to look at them because they broke their promise. Then I said that unless they could somehow pull a new Halloween party with all my friends out of their asses, then they'd completely screwed me over. Then I left before they could say anything else to me. My friends were nearly as upset as I was, but my sister told me off and said I was callous because she had wanted me there. Ever since that year, I only spent Halloween with my friends. This year, my parents begged me to go with them to my sister's instead. I asked why, and they wanted me to drive them. So I refused and said they just wanted a designated driver, and they'd already screwed me over before and didn't even attempt to make it better back then. And I didn't want to just sit around watching them get drunk, with the only real highlight being helping kids trick-or-treat. I hung out with my friends and we had a blast with a farmyard party, but my sister called me up on Monday, furious at me, because our parents were pulled over on their way home and got a DUI, and that this would never have happened if I had driven them. And now most of the family is ticked at me. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to drive my parents to my sister's house for Halloween because of something they did 5 years ago? Wow, what? Definitely not. The parents should have just got a taxi if they were going to drink anyway. Them getting a DUI is not OB's fault. Stupid to drive if they were drinking. Let's go to some comments. While you are 100% not the a-hole for anything your parents did, you're weirdly bitter about a party you missed as a 19-year-old dude. You were an adult, you chose to stay, nothing was stopping you from leaving. You need to recognize that you are responsible for your own choices, something your family doesn't seem to be good at. Opie replies, No, I was stopped from leaving because I couldn't take my parents' vehicle. We rode together and they refused to let me just borrow their car and come back. The bitterness is because they lied to me and then showed no remorse that they did. This is weird. Have they just done it on these 2 Halloween parties, or did they do this at other times? Why didn't your sister drive them, or sister's partner if they're in the picture? If she has kids, there surely had to be a sober adult there. Obviously, it's not your fault your parents drove drunk, not the a-hole. Opie says, They've drove drunk several times. I didn't mind driving them some places, but then they wanted me as a designated driver all the time, and they only wanted me to drive their car, not mine. So I made it clear to them that I wouldn't be their driver if I had plans, which I did. Onto an update, 5 days later. My sister and her husband spotted my post a few days after I made it and called me. My sister said she's ashamed of herself and now sees my point of view. At first, she was furious I made the post, but her husband chewed her out for not ever sticking up for me because he really had no idea my parents treated me this badly, and after they both read the comments, she realized how toxic this whole dynamic was. At first, she blamed it on the stress of being a mother, but quickly took that back and said she really has no excuse for never considering me in these situations. We talked, and she remarked how I've always loved Halloween ever since I was a little kid, and she let my parents ruin it for me that day, 5 years ago, even though she knew about the promise they broke. The conversation got pretty emotional, and she apologized heavily because she'd put the blame on me when she was the one who let our parents drink and drive year after year. I've got more details now, and my mother is actually the one who got the DUI. I'd assumed our father, but he apparently was so wasted that he was on the verge of passing out, and pretty much did as soon as he was in the car. Our mother insisted that she was okay to drive, and then ran a red light. That's how a cop spotted her, and she was arrested. The car was impounded, and our father was escorted home by police to sleep it off. He woke up with a raging hangover and a temper to match, then took it all out on my sister over the phone, and she in turn took it out on me. Our mother has had her license suspended. The car cost them $600 to get out of impound, and both of my parents were putting this on me, until we all ganged up on them for what they've been doing. Our father fought us every step of the way, but we made it clear that they've been putting their alcoholism above everything else, and we're tired of it because there's been a lot of broken promises from them all around. Our mother promised to do better, but our father just stayed silent and wouldn't make eye contact with any of us. Things are tense now, but I'm glad my sister is finally on my side in all of this. Yeah, completely childish and neglectful of the parents here. It's clear that they got serious issues, and the dad sounds too ashamed to show it that he's taking it out on everyone else around him. Let's read some final comments. Oh, so they're alcoholics. Makes sense. Go to your adult daughter's house to see the grandkids. Don't go trick-or-treating with said grandkids. Instead, get crap-faced drunk when you drove there, have no designated driver, and refuse to get a cab or something. Parents of the year there. Yeah, this is less about a party and more about the fact that Opie's parents sound like alcoholics. Their addiction is more important than their promises, and that is what hurt OP. He has every right to be angry with them, especially if they have no desire to change. They had so many other options. Stay the night, call a friend, take a cab, sis or her husband could have driven. I think the best option would be to realise they have a problem and to stop drinking. Yeah, hard to disagree with that. What about you guys? Let me know your thoughts down below. Anyway, we're going to move on to another story now. Alrighty, we're over on the advice subreddit. This one was written by user ThatCaterpillar400 and it's titled, My fiancé assaulted his BFF on his bachelor party. I don't know what to do. My, female 28, fiancé, 28, male, Alex, has a BFF, Denny, 28, since they were 4. She's not like the usual Reddit BFF. She's a lovely, sweet person who has never crossed boundaries with Alex or their 2 other friends, Marcus and Daniel. The 4 are very close. Denny is gay and always was. She is very much a woman but likes to dress in jeans and t-shirts and not in any feminine clothing. She is lean, tall, has short hair, and is just one of the boys in a lot of ways. This weekend was Alex's bachelor party. All 4 plus 2 other of Alex's friends went along. It was to a coastal town that's well known for hosting bachelor and bachelorette parties, but there's no strip club or anything. They stayed in a B&B and have scuba diving and kayaking planned. First night went okay, dinner, restaurant and nightclub and home. Last night was the issue. They did the nightclub and headed back to the house. Marcus and Daniel, who are both single, brought back 2 girls from the nightclub and got busy in their bedrooms. The rest were drinking in the living room, but things got a bit loud, and the 2 friends started complaining that they didn't get to go to a strip club and never got to see boobs and ass. They were blaming their wives and calling them names. Denny told them to shush as it was ruining the mood, and they both thought it would be funny if they saw Denny's body naked to make up for it. The thing is, Alex joined in and they stripped her. She was screaming loudly, and Marcus and Daniel came running and rescued Denny and put her in the bedroom with the girls and had a fight with the 3 men. Daniel doesn't drink due to a chronic medical condition and the medication he's on, so they packed up and took Denny and the 2 girls and left the other 3. Denny was hysterical, and Marcus wanted her to go to the police, but she wouldn't. She was afraid to go home, so they ended up dropping the girls off and taking Denny to her parents, which was an hour away. Marcus was at my door at 7 a.m. this morning, and he told me what happened, that if he ever sees Alex again, he's afraid of how things could go. He told me that if he can convince Denny to press charges, he will, and then he left. Alex returned about 3 this afternoon. He was acting normally until I told him Marcus has visited. He was very nervous and tried to play down what happened as a joke that got out of hand. I'm devastated. I heard him out, but he knew I wasn't accepting what he was saying. I told him Denny may be going to the police, and he got very panicked and pale. He said she had him blocked and he wanted to go to talk to her. I told him she wasn't at her place as she was too afraid he and his buddies would turn up there. I asked him to leave, and he didn't want to go, but I insisted. He was crying, saying it was a prank that got out of hand. I heard him out only as a courtesy to our 2-year relationship, but I'm done. I don't know this man. I don't know if I should reach out to Denny or just do nothing. Marcus and I have been in constant contact, and he agrees that I have no option but to end things. I don't know where to start with cancelling everything, as the wedding was in 5 weeks, but it seems trivial compared to what Denny is going through right now. Marcus is convinced that Denny is going to the police after talking to her parents, so I think Alex is in trouble. I can't support him on this. Maybe I'm wrong, as he was drunk and probably had taken other things, but this was his friend from age 4, and he did this to her. I've not blocked Alex, but I've not replied or picked up any of his calls. Yeah, absolutely, Opie is correct in being done with this guy here. This is not something you can do and play off as a prank. This is unacceptable. Let's read some comments. Good on you for being done. This isn't a damn prank. Everyone in the frickin' world knows better than this. I would reach out to Denny in person if possible and express your support of her, knowing that people she cares about believe her and are choosing her in this situation instead of those who assaulted her is going to be very important in her healing process. Don't push her to press charges though. Let her decide that on her own and remain neutral of either choice she makes. Opie replies, she's about 3 hours away from me right now, so I may just message her tomorrow and tell her that I'm there for her if she needs anything and that I'm done with Alex. Like I said, she is a really sweet person and we have a good relationship. I'm still kind of processing everything right now, but have decided I'm going to ask my brother to come stay with me for a while. I've told my parents I'm visiting tomorrow and will get their help with everything that needs cancelling. Without the intervention of the friends, it would have been an assault. No excuse. All the money you lost in cancelling the wedding is the price to not live with an assaulter. He's a dangerous man. Better a cancelled wedding than domestic violence or death. You've heard how his friends view their spouses and women in general. Now you know that Alex feels and acts the same way as them. He assaulted his best friend because these men were upset they couldn't cheat on their wives. He is not a good person. He is abusive and dangerous. Leave, if not because of how he hurt Denny, then to keep yourself safe from him. I would start by letting people know the wedding is off. Tell your parents and tell his parents so that they can field any questions from extended family. Have a standard explanation. I suggest, quote, Alex was involved in a criminal incident that had caused the end of our relationship. Out of sensitivity to the victim, we will not be providing further details. Please know that this criminal activity has been confirmed by several witnesses known to both of us and the victim, and there is no doubt that he is guilty. Reach out to people via text or email. Just check them off the list. No need to do individual conversations. Don't answer your phone from extended family and friends if you don't want to talk to them, and hold firm to the explanation. Provide nothing else unless and until Denny blesses it. And let Denny know, even if it's through Marcus, that you believe her and you're horrified for her. The best comfort I think you can give is not marrying this man and supporting her by affirming that it happened and that it was a crime. And Opie replies, okay, thank you so much. I can follow this list and it gives me a plan now. I was really struggling where to start. All I did so far was ask my brother to stay, and he's on his way. This is very helpful. I truly appreciate this, as I'm a mess right now. Okay folks, on to an update. Sorry, I don't know how to do updates, so I'm posting this separately. It's been a terrible day. I can't reach out to my friends yet as I'm ashamed. I did tell my parents and my brother, and they've been wonderful. My brother brought his friend with him when he came to stay, and today, both of them packed up every bit of my ex's stuff and took it to his parents' house. Ex was there and just asked if that meant I was finished with him, and my brother said yes, and did he really expect any other reaction? His father intervened and told Ex not to say anything more. He told my brother to tell me to contact him on cancelling the wedding. I'm not contacting his father ever. My parents are handling cancelling the wedding, and my father got in touch with my cousin who is a lawyer, and he's going to help and advise me as needed. I have to disentangle myself from Ex on leases, bank accounts, savings and such, although my brother made me transfer all of my money from joint account savings and daily accounts to my own account. It's a mess. I tried to ring Denny, but she isn't up for speaking to anyone, so I just texted her that I was there for her and that I'd broken up with Alex. She hasn't replied, and I don't expect she will. She's in a bad way, apparently. Daniel spent 3 hours with me today. There's a lot going on, but I'm afraid to say too much for fear of damaging any court case. Just to say there are 2 videos of the incident. One by Jeb, one of the 2 friends. A lot of it is chaotic, but the last part is clear and telling, apparently. The owners of the rental house apparently have gotten involved and have footage, but I can't say more. When Marcus left me, he went to both of those guys' wives and told them what had happened. Jeb's wife has been very helpful, apparently, and she is split from him. The other guy's wife, too, has left him. Things are going how most of you want them to go, that's all I will say. Well, I will add it was worse than what Marcus shared. Daniel told me that before Denny found her style, she had long hair and dressed feminine and was stunningly beautiful, and all 3 of them were in love with her as teens. Alex took her rejection very personally, apparently, and Daniel says he was angry and bitter for a couple of years, but hid it from her. They thought he had gotten over it, but Daniel feels this smacks of revenge against her. Scary if this is true. I have and continue to receive hundreds of texts from Alex. He told me his father told him to stop texting me, but he can't. I haven't replied or blocked based on advice. This is very hard, and I don't know what way this is all going to end up. Sorry about any mistakes and typos. I'm not doing well. If there's more, I will post again if I'm able. And there is more, another update. Hi all, my last update got removed, but if anyone is interested, I thought I'd post the latest and get some advice. I got a call from Denny. Daniel has been ever present, and I'm guessing it was because he knew she was going to call. There's a lot more to the story. The first night was normal, as I said, but on the Saturday, Alex, Jeb, and their friend decided not to go scuba diving with Denny, Daniel, and Marcus. Denny was feeling very hungover and gave up after an hour and went back to the Airbnb. She walked into the living room to find all 3 guys engaging in sexual acts with 2 women. Jeb shouted at her to get out as this was costing them a fortune. The women were escorts. She left and went back to the boat and only told Marcus what she saw. When they all went back later, Alex told her to not tell me as it was just his last bit of freedom. She told him she was disgusted with him and that he wasn't free. She told him she would have to think about what to do. Marcus convinced her to stay another night as he and Daniel had met the 2 girls the night before and was seeing them again that night, and if Denny wanted to leave, then Daniel would have to take her as he was her ride and there wasn't public transport in the tiny town. So Alex cheated, as did the other 2. Marcus told their wives that morning, but not me. He was going to do it in stages as he knew I was in shock. The actual assault went further than Marcus told me also, and while Alex hadn't actually done anything beyond pulling off her clothes, unlike the other 2, he stood by and watched and did nothing to help her. She said she thought he had taken shrooms earlier, but couldn't be sure. Marcus and Daniel did rescue her, but things had already escalated. She went to the police immediately when she got to her parents. The Airbnb owners had also gone independently when they saw the footage. All 3 men are facing the consequences of their actions. Denny told me she was sorry she didn't leave and tell me immediately like she wanted to. She is very distraught still, and I didn't want to make things worse for her. I don't think I'm needed for any legal proceedings, so I finally blocked Alex and his parents. The wedding is cancelled, and I'm just starting to disentangle myself from Alex on bank accounts and such. Here's my issue. I'm feeling very angry towards Marcus. It feels like he didn't really care about me. He stopped Denny from telling me so he could continue to shack up with the girl he met. He apparently feels guilty because if they had left, Denny would not have been attacked. He didn't do me the courtesy of telling me that Alex cheated that morning like he did with the other two wives. It's not like he was sparing my feelings, because my ex assaulting another woman was a pretty damn bad thing to hear. He didn't tell me the full extent of the attack. Denny is still unsure if Alex wasn't just waiting his turn or if all he was going to do was watch. I should have been told that ASAP, and not from Denny because the conversation was incredibly difficult for her. Daniel didn't know about the escorts at all, and didn't know Marcus hasn't shared the full story of what they saw when they burst in. Daniel has been my rock. I need some perspective here. Is it okay to be angry at Marcus? Is it misplaced anger? I'm pretty angry at Alex though, and that's all I feel towards him. Can anyone give me a different perspective I'm missing? Marcus and I had been in constant contact. He's already back at work, so it was messages and texts and occasional calls. He actually visited last night, but I didn't open the door to him. Daniel is saying whatever I feel now is okay, but I think he's just placating me. I don't know who to trust anymore. I don't have to have any more contact with Alex and think the case will move along without me. I'm thinking of telling Daniel that I need a break from him and Marcus and that group of friends. Denny and I have said we'll stay in touch, but I can't see us being very close. My best friend, who I finally confided in, thinks I should just step away from them all now for good and try to move forward. My parents agree and think it's necessary for healing. My brother thinks Daniel has been nothing but great and I shouldn't cut him off, but they all seem to be a package deal, but without Alex now obviously. So I think it's probably all or nothing. What should I do? I don't want to be ungrateful, but a clean break feels right. Let's get some more advice from the comments. Girl, I've been following your story. I'm so sorry for Denny. It's horrible. I believe it's best to distance yourself from them and cut Marcus off. He betrayed you the same way as Alex. He concealed and enabled. You don't need those kinds of people in your life. Your ex is garbage. Opie replies, "Thank you. I just want to put them all in my past now and wish I'd never met any of them, to be honest. I didn't know if it's just the hurt and anger talking or if I was right to be angry at Marcus. I've lost so much, and that's not even counting what I've lost financially on the wedding. I feel like I'm overwhelmed and just want to be done with them all." I think it's okay for you to want to take a step back. I wouldn't block Daniel or Denny. Alex is dangerous and you three should share important information about him in order to keep each other safe from him. But I wouldn't go out of your way to initiate contact outside of that. It might feel wrong since they didn't do anything wrong, but just because they didn't do anything wrong doesn't mean that continuing contact isn't harmful to all parties. Blocking Marcus does sound like a good idea. He delayed telling you and insisted Denny stay in a place with 3 people who knew she could ruin their lives, all so that he could get laid. And he even trickled truth to avoid it looking as bad as it was, probably as a solid to his buddy. No remorse for allowing this to happen. Good riddance. As for the others, let them know that you may want to talk to them later, but you need to step back for your mental health. Then go low contact. It is probably best for everyone, and I'm sure it's been said to you a million times, but if you haven't, talk to a therapist to help you sort through your feelings. This is a lot, and you've been handling it great, but you'll want to work on healing sooner rather than later. Good luck. We're all keeping you and Denny in our thoughts. And Opie replies, "I am going to seek therapy because I'm just so confused. I don't understand how this happened, or how I didn't know or see any signs. I don't even understand him cheating, as his father cheated on his mother when he was a teenager, and it nearly broke the whole family. He still has issues with his father over it, and with his mother for staying, so I don't understand how he could justify doing it to me. And I can't understand what happened with Denny at all, or why it all led up to him taking part in the unthinkable. I desperately wanted to pepper Denny with 100 questions, just trying to get a clearer picture so I could try to understand, but I couldn't ask her anything. She is so raw and upset right now. She also blames herself for drinking too much, which is crazy to me. She isn't to blame for any of it, but she wasn't able to hear that. So I'm just totally lost. 2 weeks ago, I had a loving, funny, goofy guy whom I was looking forward so much to marrying, and I don't know where that guy went or if he was ever real, and all his texts have been painful to read, and it took everything I had not to ring him and scream at him for destroying everything. He's hurt Denny badly, and me too, and screwed up his life. And I know it sounds awful, but I feel I can't be upset or heartbroken because Denny has it so much worse, and I need help with that. Sorry for rambling. Thanks for your support. Oh man, it's just sad to read about all the conflict Opie's going through. And obviously Denny as well. I really feel for them. Okay, on to a new update. I've been putting off writing this update, but I'm back because I need even more advice and an outside perspective. The comments have been pretty helpful so far. Thank you. It's long, but I'll do my best to shorten it. Trigger warning for SA, drugs and violence. First of all, Denny and I have bonded. She and I talk every day and message constantly. I didn't expect that, but it's truly wonderful. She says she needs a good straight friend right now, JK, and honestly she's a great person and has been a huge support to me, despite what she's been going through. I told her I posted here as I felt guilty as to tell my story, I had to tell hers. She was okay with it. She's thinking of waiving her right to anonymity when the trial comes, as she wants everyone to know she was assaulted and by who. Denny has quit her job, moved to her parents full-time, and is in therapy. She's just about okay, surviving still rather than living, but she's so strong and amazing. Justice moves slowly here, so there isn't too much of an update on the legal process. Marcus was told, however, he would not face charges for assault for attacking the two actively attacking Denny. I went back to work, and it was awful. I work for a tiny startup. Oscar, who works there, is friendly with Marcus and my brother. We are all into martial arts and attend the same dojo, so I'm getting a lot of pity. I've been okay with sympathy or empathy, but being pitied sucks. Still, it's better than being home all day doing nothing. Daniel gave me space as I asked, and he is truly a good guy. There's nothing romantic there at all, though. I'm not in a fit state for anything like that, and won't be for a very, very long time, and he's just a good guy, no ulterior motives. We text a bit, and he's in a lot of contact with Denny. I got a letter in the mail from Alex. Said he held out hope while I hadn't blocked him, but once I did, he was distraught. He told me he doesn't want to freak me out by turning up in person, and I know that wouldn't look good for him anyway, but he just wanted to tell his side of the story. He said he was pressured into doing stuff with the escorts, and he only got a BJ. The other two were really pressuring him to do more, but he didn't, and says he regrets even doing that. He admits he was angry at Denny because she told him he either told me about the cheating, or she would, but he knew he was totally in the wrong. He knew I would dump him for cheating, so he took everything he could get his hands on. He's not even sure what he took, and while he remembers pulling off Denny's shoes, he doesn't remember anything else. So he was just peer pressured and drunk and drugged up, and he did nothing wrong at all, basically. I was just disgusted to read this. His total lack of accountability is just sickening. I'm not responding to him ever. Any future mail goes unopened into the trash. I'm in therapy, but it's early days, and I'm not seeing progress yet. That leaves me with Marcus. He knows I've been angry with him, and he's desperate to talk it out. I probably feel too much anger towards him, but find it hard not to. He's still feeling very guilty over making Denny stay. I don't understand why I feel so angry towards him. It's not on the level of anger I feel towards Alex by any means, but I'm still hesitant to talk to him. I think he made mistakes, but in my heart, I know he was dealing with a lot that morning, but I just wouldn't have been there when Alex got home if I'd known the truth. I feel Marcus should have told me everything, as I was the one who had to face Alex alone. I know I should hear him out, but I'm finding it very hard. How can I get past this? I want to clear the air with him, even if we're never friends, and me cutting him out is really having a terrible effect on him. I know he rescued Denny and has been constantly checking up on her. I know he can be a good guy, but part of me feels he wasn't all good that weekend. I don't know. I haven't touched this in therapy, as we're just starting and are talking about Alex. I need advice on how to deal with this. I wanted to give it some time, but Marcus's mental health is pretty poor, and maybe by not meeting him, I'm just making him worse. How can I find it in me to just bite the bullet and hear him out? Why am I so angry with him? How can I move past this? I don't want to be angry at him. I'm so exhausted from being angry at him and at Alex, and I want it to stop, at least towards Marcus. But it won't. Help. I'm visiting Denny for the weekend that should have been my wedding. We're going to have a Lord of the Rings marathon, and her mother is making a cheesecake. My own family have been wonderful in every way, but Denny is truly why I'm still standing. Now for some final thoughts in the comments. Wow, this is a story where OP made the correct decision immediately at every step upon each revelation, where the victims' families all stepped up so beautifully, and where the perpetrators are facing criminal consequences, and yet each update still painted a darker picture than before. Honestly, one of the best posts I've ever read here, and that's not a good thing. Heartbreaks for Denny. It's terrifying how disgusting people masquerade as the normal people in our lives. It really reminds me of that huge assault case going on in France right now. X's letters shouldn't go to the trash, it should go to Denny's lawyers. Quote, he knew I would dump him for cheating, so he took everything he could get his hands on. The flames on the side of my face right now. God damn it, I hope OP is getting comments on the update, but in case they come here, don't throw the letters in the trash, not even the ones he sent you. He's handing you gold about his involvement. Hand the letters to Denny's lawyer, and let that shark rip him to ever frickin' pieces with his own words. Quote, he admits he was angry at Denny. He knew I would dump him for cheating, so he took everything he could get his hands on. Let the lawyer cook, keep the letters, and hand them off as evidence. Yeah, fingers crossed they all get what's coming to them. Anyway guys, that's the end of that story for now. I'll keep an eye out for any future updates, but as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know. Otherwise, we're going to move on to another story. Alrighty, we're over on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Trying to Understand 67, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for walking our dog while my wife was getting ready for dinner? It feels ridiculous to ask about this, but I'm starting to think I'm missing some key bits of information here. I guess I'm asking that if I am, why? Because it wasn't my intention, and I certainly would like to prevent it from happening again. This Friday, my wife and I had reservations at her favourite restaurant because her birthday is right around the corner. We have a party planned, but this was supposed to be our night together alone. The way the reservation was set up, I would come home from work, change, and immediately drive there, as it's around an hour and a half by car. Yes, we live in hick country. Yes, I am a hick, and no, we aren't moving that I've been made aware of, lol. The day had gone great so far, and from what I knew, everything was going according to plan. I got home, and she's behind schedule getting ready. This is not something that happens for her ever, and I was surprised, but the reason wasn't her fault, and it was barely a 20-minute deviation. However, I was just waiting by the door during that time, and the dog decided he needed out, so I took him for a walk around our yard. It took maybe 5 minutes, and I cleaned everything up and had him put up before my wife was ready. We made it to the dinner reservation by the skin of our teeth, and that was that. We had a great date, and I would have never known she was upset with me until the next morning, when she said that she had never known me to be so impatient, which confused me, and she rolled her eyes and said she noticed that I took the dog for a walk before we left to make her hurry, and that she just didn't want to let my bad mood ruin the night. I'd been in a great mood and told her so, but she refused to believe it and got pretty angry, which I haven't been able to calm her down from to even talk about all of this again. I really don't understand what I've done wrong here, and I don't know what to do. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, seems like a really innocuous thing to be upset about. Maybe she's upset about something else. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. It sounds like she may really be annoyed about something else. Try talking again to see if you can get under the real issue. Did something happen at work, or did she have another expectation that was not met? OP replies, not that she talked about. The day went pretty well from what I know, but I'll definitely try to talk to her about her job. She hasn't had any trouble from this lot yet that I know of, but it is a newer job, and there may be things I don't know. Thank you, I probably wouldn't have ever connected that it could be related to work. Another comment says, not the a-hole. Can you lay it out clearly for your wife that you don't understand what went wrong? Hell, maybe just show her this post. I'm assuming the anger is out of character for her, so a conversation is a good idea. OP says, yeah, neither of us are angry people. That's the biggest reason I posted. She's been pretty annoyed with me before, but this is different. The commenter says, "Yeah, that's very odd then. There might be some other stuff brewing under the surface, or she was just really tired that day." Opie replies, "Someone mentioned work stuff, and I'm going to ask her about that. She did start a new job not too long ago, and even though she hasn't said anything to me yet, it's new enough that I wouldn't know yet." Another comment says, "I'm not seeing anything that you did wrong here. Do you know why she was 20 minutes late getting dressed? Maybe the reason she was late getting ready is tied to what made her get upset. Taking the dog out was not wrong. It isn't like you walked around the block, you stayed in your own yard." Opie replies, "Yeah, she'd gotten ready at our neighbour's and her friend's house up a small hill and walked back over, but took a tumble on the way. She wasn't hurt at all, but she had to change her dress and fix her hair. Not the first time she's fallen like that, and I worry about it, but she says it isn't a big deal. My dad used to do this action every time we went out. This is his silent way of telling us, 'Hurry up, don't make me wait.' Maybe someone did this to your wife in the past, so she got irritated when you did it." Opie says, "Yeah, she's never said anything about that, but I can see how that would have ticked her off in that case. Thank you so much for the advice." And I should edit that thanks into the post to less than 20 comments, and almost every one of them have brought up something I didn't think of. Not the a-hole. Maybe she has an undiagnosed UTI, or she's unaware that she's pregnant and hormonal if this is not normal. Then those are the first two medical options. After that, she has built up resentment over something, or this is a trigger from her childhood. Opie says, "UTI, those are pretty dangerous. I think that's what put my mum in the hospital last time. Do you think that's really a possibility?" Yeah, that's a bit out of left field, but hormonal changes could somewhat explain it, I suppose. Let's go to an update, 12 days later. "Hello, I feel weird updating, but I have good news and want to share somewhere, and here seems as good a place as any right now. And actually, I wanted to thank everyone for commenting, and the people who reached out privately with advice. You really helped me calm down and figure out how to approach talking about this while seeing where my wife could have been coming from. One person even called exactly what was going on, something I dismissed right away, stupidly. So I came home the next day and brought home pizza from her favourite spot in town, which we never get because of crowds, because I figured even if I wasn't outright wrong, there was no reason not to make the conversation nice. So after dinner I asked about the dog again, and after a lot of back and forth and crying that I'll skip explaining, she explained that for the past week or so she had been feeling weirdly emotional and she couldn't explain it. Some people had mentioned some things here about different health stuff that could cause those sorts of symptoms, and I got pretty nervous and got her in at her doctor's office within a couple of days. Well, imagine our embarrassment walking out 5 minutes after getting in and doing a test we could have done at home for like $20 without including insurance companies. She's going to talk to a therapist about meeting every week for a while she adjusts and deals with hormonal changes. We've been laughing about it now because it never crossed our minds she could have been pregnant. Someone commented it, but I still didn't believe it because I am dumb. Never mind that we're both in our 20s or that she switched birth control like 2 months ago, and we may or may not have had unprotected sex during the switch week. Anyway, as stupid as we may be, we're still excited, but waiting until the 12-week mark to tell our families. However, I've been itching to tell someone and can't wait any longer. So here's an update, haha. Wife approved because it's anonymous. Thanks again for the help. I appreciate it a lot, even if I didn't take the advice of the person who was right. One comment says, "Congrats, and maybe still have that talk with your neighbour about the path to make sure she stays safe." Opie says, "Already working on it. The neighbour isn't against the idea, just against paying for it, haha, which is no problem for me, since I'm the only one complaining." Pregnancy hormones are straight up evil, especially before you know you're pregnant. I thought I was losing my mind until the morning sickness started and the penny dropped. I thought of pregnancy too, reminded me of my own. My husband and I were doing DoorDash for just some extra cash and to get out of the house, and my daughter sometimes tagged along when she was bored and wanted to hang out. We were talking about pizza and cheese, and when my husband said I don't eat cheese because I don't like it, I literally exploded about how it had nothing to do with liking it. I can't have the stupid stuff, complete with more cussing. They both stared at me like a crazy person, even more so when I fell asleep 10 minutes later like nothing happened. I tested positive on a pregnancy test 2 days later, and we still joke now about the cheese episode 2 years later. I really like the fact that he came home, unprompted, with her favourite food. Not gonna lie, food makes me fold so fast, or at least be willing to hear you out. Him wanting to make the conversation nice no matter the outcome is just so good. A partner wanting to actively make your life better is perfect. I love his reply to the UTI and pregnancy comment, only worrying about the UTI could be dangerous, completely blanked the pregnancy comment. Then worried about her. I'm sure Google results went through his head about what could be wrong with her, versus thinking simple at-home pregnancy test could rule out an easy reason. Congratulations, OP. Now, dear Redditors, don't you see what communicating with your partner does for you? I'm glad this ended on a happy note, and I hope you all have a pleasant pregnancy, healthy baby. As do I. Alright folks, that's the end of that story. Yeah, a little bit of a twist that I didn't really see coming, but hey, a pretty good outcome, all things considered. Anyway folks, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories, thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.